Good afternoon, class. So today is 1st of March and we are in the month of March. I hope all the preparation is going well. We have already covered up to the month of, I think, September. So in this particular week, we will be probably completing all the current affairs up to the month of, you can say, the 4 month extra, November, December, January, and February. So all the previous will be completed within 2 months. So I hope everything is going well. Now let us coming to the paper. The first one is ISRO puts Brazil, Amazonia 1 and 18 other satellites into the orbit. Why this is important? First of all, there are two reasons for the importance of this particular mission. This is started by or has been launched by the forefront of the PSLV C-51. This PSLV C-51 has been started by New Space India Limited. What is New Space India Limited and what are the organizations that are situated around ISRO? Now, for better understanding, I think there is ISRO, you remember, Indian Space Research Organization. Recently, ISRO have felt that there are a lot of things that can be outsourced to some other private companies who can do it better. Now, in the continuation of it, they have developed a Antrix, earlier company. This Antrix was focused on the satellite manufacturing, what kind of satellites will be manufactured, and also providing some of the money from outside resources to India. That is, asking the foreign countries to bring in the satellites to be launched from the Indian platform. Now, there is New Space India Limited. The New Space India Limited is a public sector unit that will be promoting the domestic availability, technology, innovation in developing the SSLV and PSLV, that is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle and Sun Synchronous Launch Vehicle. So these are two things that will be involved in that. Now, this was the first mission of New Space India Limited, the commercial arm of Indian Space Organization. And Brazil has the heaviest satellite that is currently launched by India. And there was also Bhagavad Gita in the PDF format that was sent over on board. And Brazil, USA, India, these were the three countries whose satellites were launched. And there were other small countries also from Satish Dhawan in which the satellites will be launched. The name of the mission was PSLV C-51, so you should remember it. And these were some of the things associated with this particular part. The next one is satellite launch, a high point in space ties, says India and Brazil. And Brazil have recognized the importance of India and the new reason of cooperation between the two countries. There will be multiple there will be multiple business and communication technology that will be happening and will be collaborating in the upcoming years for various type of satellites to be launched in India. So this is what they have said. The next one is the Nagaland and itch to revive prickly cages for lawbreakers. Now this itchy cages is simply called as Khuchli Ghar and it is generally used by AOS tribe. Now there is a particular wood called as Masang Fung. This wood is found in Nagaland and it is important part of the Nagaland customary law. I hope you remember that the customary law of Nagaland is protected under the 5th schedule of the constitution. So there are certain areas and certain practices of Nagaland that are currently protected under the constitution which can be regulated by their own personal laws. Now, this particular practice was generally used for social offenders and the habitual offenders who were actually committing crime of some sort, whether it is stealing, whether it is harassing somebody, engaged in fight or any type. Now this is a traditional practice of Naga customary law that is currently have come into the forefront and they have helped in reforming people. This is what the local community claim, and there is more use of this particular thing that may happen over the time and over the years in helping people and in helping or providing a better understanding with respect to the reformation of the people and also the local customary law of the people. Okay? Please understand, although it does not find any sanction under the Indian Constitution or sanction under any of the provision of the Indian Constitution, IPC or CRPC, but it is still used in Nagaland for punishing people so that they will get reformed. Okay? Now, any people can file a violation case against it because you have to suffer the itch for whole of the day. So maybe not many people will be comfortable with that. Okay, so there are three articles today that are related to the government regulations about the IT Guidelines for Intermediaries and Digital Media Ethics Code 2020. And I will not be going into all the three articles. You can read all the three articles on your own if you want better understanding of it. I will be trying to explain you every aspect, every agenda of what the government have done, what could be done, and what are the problems here. So please listen to this particular issue that is currently happening. But before going into that, you have to understand two provisions of the intermediaries and the digital media ethics. Now, first of all, the IT Act 2000 has not casted any responsibility on the intermediaries regarding any content that is posted on them. That is one thing you have to remember. Now, there are two types of digital media that we are currently dealing with now. There is digital media for communication, WhatsApp, Telegram, and there is digital media for entertainment. That is OTT, the news media channels, and all the other that are regulating around them. Now, two sort of regulations has been provided for two type of different technologies that the users are currently using. The first one is when we talk about WhatsApp and Telegram, the government have directed all these Telegram, Twitter or Facebook, any other organization, that you will have to appoint a compliance officer. This compliance officer will have 24/7 in touch with any of the people if desired by the Secretary of the Communication and Information Technology. Furthermore, if there is any regulation the government want to take away or any information the government want to seek, they can ask to removal of any of the information that is posted online. And this has to be done within 36 hours, maximum of 36 hours, and as early as possible if the government have flagged a particular issue on any of these websites. Furthermore, with respect to the WhatsApp and all other media that are there, they have asked that if they will be asked that who is the originator of the message, the intermediaries, that is WhatsApp, Facebook and all other people, they will have to basically provide the information of that particular person who was the originator of the message. They have asked, not asked the particular chats of the particular person, please understand, but they have asked the person who have originated the message. In this way, the government is not directly imposing itself on the privacy of individual or every privacy will be compromised, but it wants to know that from here the message have originated or whether the intermediaries will be able to confirm that. Now that is problematic for social media agencies. It may be easy for the public platforms, for example Twitter, for example you can say Facebook, because there the everything, every data that you post is for all people to see. But in the case of one-to-one communication, it will be difficult for to ascertain that who is the originator of the messages, because every time you start message from one place to another, it is between two person and it is encrypted. Therefore, the location of the originator of the message may be difficult to ascertain. I am not saying it may be nearly impossible. It is difficult to ascertain and much more difficult in the platforms like Telegram, and there are certain other platforms who assure you that there is 100% data security. And we have also heard the stories of Telegram that it was being used in Russia. Russian government have asked for same type of information from the Telegram, which Telegram refused to do. So all the companies had to move out within, I think, particular 1 month from that particular country, and now they are operating somewhere from UAE or somewhere from Saudi Arabia. Now they have multiple location operation in different countries. But that is how the things are currently going. Now, with respect to the online digital media and the OTT platform, they have said that whenever we are talking about Netflix, Amazon, or any type of digital media that is currently working on YouTube, for example, Caravan is there, the Lallan Top is there, then we have one person, what is his name, Rathi, yeah, Party, something like that. They post video online. Now, they may present certain type of heinous activity or certain against the government. Now, they will be also making huge hue and cry about this particular provision, but we need to take an unbiased look. Although they will make the most cry of this particular provision, but you must understand the every aspect of it. So basically, right now I'm just introducing the topic. We have not going into the, or right now we are not into the crux of the matter. Now, these organizations have three tiered mechanisms. So Netflix, Amazon, Prime, and whatever the organization, Hulu, everything that is currently working online. and the online news channels, they have an oversight committee. They have put in an oversight committee. Now, earlier there were two committees that were already existing. There was a self-regulatory mechanism in which the big companies, for example, Netflix has declared that if I produce something that is not fit for any children below the age of 16 years, I will put in the description that it is not fit for the age below 16 year. I will say advisory needed, under advisory 16 plus year. That is, if there is 16 plus person who are providing it under advisory, then they are able to do it. The second provision, the second layer of regulation is guided by a regulatory committee. This regulatory committee basically consisted of the chairman, who is the Supreme Court Supreme Court judge, retired Supreme Court judge, and then we have High Court judges who will be member of it. They will look it from the front of freedom of expression, from the front of the morality, ethics, society, or security of the state, and then they will give their verdict. The government have, what they have done is, they have come up as a third party. As a third party, they have said that if there is any further grievance regarding to any particular issue, then they could be entertained by the government. So I hope this is clear. So far, so good. Now let us understand the government stand, why the government is doing it. Then I will tell you the media stand, and finally we will debate out that what could be the possible resolutions or possible things that could be happening in that. Now the government have done whatever it needed to be done for the control of the various messages. What is the argument of the government? The government says that when we want to control big tech, they have grown bigger than the countries themselves, and they are basically running the propaganda according to their own will in several countries. For example, they have blocked the former president of United States from Twitter forever. Now the question can also be arised, does he have freedom of expression or not? If he have incited something in USA, you have blocked their accounts. But as similar request was presented by the government of India to Twitter, Twitter was delaying every tactics and was not allowing the officers who were in Twitter to basically block everything that the government have asked them to comply to. Now, the former president has been blocked forever from the Twitter. That is the decision that is individually taken by the Twitter. In India, we are giving you proof that these persons have incitement to the violence. You have refused. Why there are two different of norms that you are following there and here. The second issue has related to Facebook. Facebook recently updated their policy with respect to WhatsApp, in which they have said that whatever data a particular person is consuming through WhatsApp, that is their preferences, their things, these data will be shared with intermediaries of the Facebook company. The Facebook is a big company, so they have Instagram, they have WhatsApp, they have Facebook. Now they said whatever data is collected with WhatsApp, that will be shared with Instagram and that will be shared with Facebook. Now the intention of the Facebook was to make it more reliant. Now what type of data? There are two types of data. There is personal data and there is public data. For example, if you are paying at some place, because sooner or later there is going to be WhatsApp Pay that will be coming up. Now if you are paying at some place, the Facebook may be telling you that you have bought recently from this particular place a piece of pizza. You may also like some other thing. Now Facebook claim that that is making or giving option to the people in whichever thing they want to choose. So right now you are using WhatsApp. This WhatsApp is basically having direct ramifications of two data. One is personal data, one is public data. The personal data is one-to-one encrypted, that cannot be traced. The public data is where you are going. For example, you shared a location. And let's say you want to go, let's say Lahore and Spiti. Now, WhatsApp know better that you have shared a map of Lahore and Spiti in WhatsApp. That would be sent to Facebook, that would be sent to Instagram, so that a better set of information could be provided to you, that where you can stay, what are the experiences that you can have, And of course, that does not do any harm to the individual privacy of the individual. But if you have to do the same in the European country, you will have to first of all seek permission from the individual that whether your data would be shared with any of the intermediaries. The government have accused Facebook that you have different set of norms that are operating in the European Union and that are operating in the Indian Union. The Supreme Court have also came heavily on the Facebook that you may be $2 to $3 billion company of the world, but right now the individual privacy of even a rickshawala is more important as compared to the money that you are generating. Although that all stays in theory, but this is what the Supreme Court have said. That is the two things. Now these are the two problems in front of the government. The government have said that it is not only creating problem for the individuals, it is also creating problem for the government. For example, whenever there is a protest that is currently happening, there are a lot of covert and overt activities that are relating to it. So there may be funding that is coming from payment systems. There may be funding, there may be with organizations that the people are communicating with one another. Secondly, there may be false information that is currently circulating on internet on the pretext of the farmer protest. Now we have seen a major channel in India reporting that the person who died under the farmer protest, there was one person who died because of the farmer protest when he rammed his tractor into the barricades and he died on the spot. So there were false news that were present on a main news channel. I would not like to comment on that particular channel, although it is a reputed channel. And that person is also anti-Modi for major part of his life. And he have thrived on the Congress card and against BJP. So I will not be going to comment because that will be controversial and it will take away the biasness of it. You can search it online. Now he have accused that the police have fired him and that's why that was there. So the government have to come in, government have to clarify that no shots were fired. That person himself rammed into the barricades and he got killed on the spot under the pressure or under the subjection to the injuries that he have suffered because of the accident. So that is all other things that are currently going. The other concern government is saying that right now child trafficking, smuggling, fake currency notes and frauds are not only committed by having permanent offices. They are committed online. And when these frauds are committed, they are being committed because earlier what used to happen, there were some messages that were sent to you, some mails that were sent to you, and you will be able, if you click them, there will be a certain amount of money that is deducted from your account. Right now, WhatsApp and other organizations or other platforms are basically used to send you messages in which certain people send you messages that your lottery have on this particular part. You will be basically earning that particular lottery. Now there is a whole set of clusters or whole set of people that are included in that. Now this is not the part of the act, but please understand this particular fact. You have a mobile phone, your mobile phone is registered to the bank account. You have a internet service provider, let's say Jio is the internet service provider. You start a transaction here. What Jio will do, Jio will send that message to its tower, to its server. Then this message will be sent to the bank account. The bank account will send the message or the clarification to the nodal agency. They will clarify. And furthermore, the transaction from your bank to their bank will also be happening on the basis of the internet. So there are 3 or 4 parties involved here. There is the internet service provider. There is the bank where your account is, and there is the online payment facility, that is the Bheem or any other app that you are using. So Amazon could be another app that you could be using, but there are 3 or 4 intermediaries that were currently regulating this particular digital online payment system. Now government have not taken any view on this digital payment system because the responsibility is currently situated with the Reserve Bank of India and currently situated with the National Payment Corporation of India. So they have set aside this digital platform. They have focused on the another digital platform, that is the information that is being regulated, the information that is being shared. Now see this provision. Government says that whenever there is a fake message, I am not able to track. When I ask the companies, they do not give me information. So what I will do, I will make my path easy. But government is also aware of the fact that if I ask for the information, the one excuse that the private companies or the social media news channels and the digital news will always have, that they cannot share the privacy of the user. So government said to them that of course you cannot share the privacy of the user. We also understand that. But you can provide us, if there is a fake message, we are not going to ask you everything that is there. If there is a fake message, if there is an incitement of the violence of a particular kind by a particular individual, you tell us who is the originator. Now, it may be easy for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram because everything is public, but it will not be easy for Telegram and WhatsApp because these are end-to-end linked services where they cannot be tracked or where the individuals cannot be tracked with one another. The government went further that if it sees any person creating a WhatsApp account, then they can seek the details of the account. WhatsApp have refused that they cannot compromise on the privacy. However, the government of India say that we are responsible for law and order. You are not. You may provide the privacy, but if that privacy is overarching on the privacy of certain other individual, if that particular freedom of that particular individual is overarching or extending its own freedom to certain other people or damaging to the life infrastructure of other individual, then the government will have to rope in. I hope you got my point. Now, in this particular scenario, there are two things that are needed to be understood. When we talk about the IT regulations, first of all, let's talk about OTT, then we will go to social media or the digital. OTT are also divided into two parts. I think with the Netflix and Amazon type, we will not have much problem because you need not to basically go into every detail. They will just have to do the self-certification. And if there is any form of things that are being violent, promoting gang rapes or promoting sexual harassments, they needed to be cordoned off. They have not said that the cinema needed not to be presented in the way that it is presented. They have not said that the abuses, if they are needed to be shown in a particular film, needed to be absent. Because as the country is moving toward realistic cinema, the demand for these type of cinema is surely going to increase in the upcoming times. So they have said that we just want a regulation that if there are certain individuals, please understand the Netflix and Amazon is available on every phone and because their reach is very high. The problem the government is currently facing is the parents of the children are demanding that there are different type of immoral language or vulgar language or vulgar scenes that are being posted on Netflix and Amazon, and they are just in the reach of these particular teenagers who are still not able to understand how the world functions. So government have said that you develop a particular proposal, develop a particular path in which it can be ensured the correct age of the individual who is using your platform. Now, how you can ensure it? You can either ensure it with direct classification of the government record. You can confirm it with Aadhaar card. But with the Aadhaar card, there is one more problem. If you confirm it with Aadhaar card, then that generally means the Supreme Court judgment will have to come in. Supreme Court have given a judgment on Aadhaar card that if you are giving public service, then you can ask anybody to give the Aadhaar data. But if you are not giving any public service, you can not enforce any individual to give his Aadhaar card out. So for example, in the earlier case, all the SIM connections were given on the basis of Aadhaar card, but now as it is not a public service means that if you have to take ration from the government, if you have to take subsidy from the government, then Aadhaar card is mandatory. But in other cases, the Aadhaar card is not mandatory. So you cannot make Aadhaar card mandatory for the online platform to ascertain the age. Now there are certain suggestions that it should be made voluntarily, because then if you have to get the subscription of Netflix and Amazon, then Aadhaar card will be mandatory. But then the private company will object to it, because both these organizations know that their major consumer is not the elderly people. They are still fixated or still situated with the televisions at home, the major consumers of these two particular platforms are the young people, and therefore the content that is being created is also created according that is fascinating to the younger people. Now, here lies the problem. If you ask Aadhaar card, that there may be other provision that could be done. For example, if you have to ascertain the age, you can ask them to please confirm the mobile number. Now, the mobile number that is related to Aadhaar card can be directly confirmed, whether it is your age or whether it is not your age. So, mobile could be another channelization. There could be OTP type subscription. But then the streaming companies will again say that when you are talking about the OTP subscriptions, or for every movie, if you have to provide in a OTP, you will be frustrated with that. That is not ease of doing business. So that is also not the option in front of the government. So I think here we have only going to do with the self-regulation. There could be child locks. There could be certain facilities that can only be provided to the adult individuals or the under supervision of adults, that is 16 plus. I will not be going into detail into OTT platform, but I hope you understood what is the problem with Netflix and Amazon. Now coming to the other part of OTT, these are the news channels that are running on YouTube, the information that is put on YouTube. Now let's say there is a particular video, a particular person have posted or is starting posting his video online, and he is presenting fake news. Now, how will the government know that he is presenting fake news and he is inciting the people? Because YouTube is worldwide phenomenon. You can search anything and you can look out anything. So let's say there is separation activities that are sponsored by some Khalistani member who are situated in Canada on YouTube, and that video is currently being searched by most of the individuals in the state of Punjab. And someone has forwarded it to you. Now, you are a patriotic person, you have worked in the army, you want to file a complaint against it. But till now, you did not have any mechanism for it. Now, you can file the complaint against that particular individual who is promoting the videos of Khalistani individuals online. You can protect it. But all the free media expressions and the free media, the people who are talking about, or the articles that you will be seeing, they are only shown to you from one side only. The whole 3 articles that have come up today, they have only talked about that the government have given the individual the option to file a complaint. So even if there is a Khalistani activity, you are allowed to basically file a complaint against the particular agency that you please remove this content. I am not comfortable with that. I hope this is clear. And then there is another oversight committee who will look after it. If they also find it equally offending, they will remove it. Even if both the agencies will not remove it, then the final recourse is with the government of India. You can file a complaint with the government of India. This is how the procedure will work. So far so fine. But the liberal society of India have picked up this particular provision that as the radicalization is happening more in the Indian society and the people are generally weighed by the nationalistic view, it may create more discord and there will be no room for the dissent in the society, because whenever there is a fact that is uncomfortable to certain person, and that is generally going to happen also, there will be certain facts that if you joke on particular, for example, recently we have seen certain activists, environmentalists, and even the comedians being put in jail for joking on something, I think, related to some religious sentiments that got heard with respect to Ram and Sita. So there may be individual complaints that will be done by every people on others. So they will be always under scrutiny and they will always be under immense pressure to openly criticize the government, because government can then, if there is even a single individual complaint, government can take action, even if the 2 individuals says. So that is a very harsh situation for the country. You see the situation right now. You are only thinking कि हाँ खालिस्तानियों को रोका तो क्या बात है. Try to think it in the another way. If there is particular dissent of operation, if a particular person want to criticize the government, let's say he want to criticize Modi ji on his beard, कि मान लीजिए पेट्रोल का प्राइसेस भी उतना ही बढ़ रहा है जितना मोदी जी की बियर्ड बढ़ रही है, तो किसी दिन जाके हम मोदी जी की बियर्ड काट देंगे तो पेट्रोल प्राइस कम आ जाएंगे. कोई भी इस तरह का जोक इफ ही हैव मेड डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली, दैट मे लैंड हिम इन जेल. So there will be less freedom of expression, less security of whatever he is saying, and there may be ramification not in the small term but in the longer term on all over the way of dissenting, all over the way of rejecting, or all over the way in which the expressions were given different type of ways in which it was presented on the public platform. So all the people will be feeling threatened now that the government can take anybody from anywhere and they can put them in jail. Okay? Now the question still arises that whether our forefathers asked for this democracy where the government could control it. The government is equally true in its sense that the government should have enough power to basically control any form of fake online news. But on the other hand, you cannot take it to both extremes. Please understand. Now, as we have understood everything with respect to these particular standoffs and all the issues, let me give you the final verdict, what happened in this particular case. The government have taken to the particular regulations that it have posted according to its own extreme. The activists have taken the particular regulation that were imposed to their extremes. So they are asking that everybody will complain and all the comedians, dissenters and all the activists will land in jail. The government is saying we are not going to take, but we need exclusive power when we want to control law and order situation, the public, the infrastructure, or protect public from any form of activity that is dissenting. If the frauds are being committed, if the trafficking is being happening, or if there is any form of child sexual abuse that is currently happening directly or indirectly. Now, there are immense challenges in front of the government also. There are immense challenges in front of the activist also. Now the question is, how will you balance this particular part? Now, for procedure, there are 3 or 4 parties that are involved. You leave aside WhatsApp and Telegram, the OTT platforms can self-regulate themselves. If there is a particular complaint that is offensive to a particular community, then there could be certain thresholds that could be there. But the government decision, ultimately, I don't think that there is problem with OTT. The OTT platform are powerful enough to go to the court. If they are not satisfied with their own self-regulation, a person is not satisfied, he can appeal to the oversight committee. The oversight committee is not satisfied, he can complain to the government committee. The government committee will look after it. And if they are not comfortable with the government committee decision, if Netflix is not comfortable, then Netflix can directly go to the Supreme Court of India that my freedom of expression, the way my people want to express this particular individual, this particular act, or even the criticism on the government, need to be provided a safety from the Supreme Court of India. So I don't think that there is a problem here. The problem lies with respect to the low news channel or the digital media who are still thriving. They are still trying to find the space in the public, and a threshold needed to be created. Now the government have created a threshold with respect to the social media of 50 lakh individuals. Now I do not know on which basis this 50 lakh individual threshold has been created. Government said that all those platforms who have 50 lakh or more people, only they will be asked to do so. All those platforms who have 50 lakh or low, they will not be asked so. There is another part to it because there are 2 individual the businesses who are still thriving. For example, recently we have launched a parallel Twitter platform in India called as Cuckoo or Koo, something like that. Now this Cuckoo is still thriving. Now the government have provided a threshold of 50 lakh, but I do not understand on which premises it have provided a threshold of 50 lakh, because if there is a violence that is only going to be committed, it can only be committed, I think almost thousands of people can commit the same violence as the 50 lakh people who will have outreach. But this is how they have tried to balance it on the quantitative terms. But I think it would have been much better if they have tried to regulate it on the qualitative basis. The government could have created for example, we have a consumer redressal form in the case of consumer complaints. The government could have created a body that could regulate the online media platform, If there is a complaint, a one-stop solution should be provided. That could coordinate with online media, that would coordinate with government, that would coordinate with the people, and all three parties should be coordinated in that particular oversight committee that will have participation from every other party. It will function as a mini parliament. Now, this mini parliament could hear the arguments from the government, hear the arguments from the people, and hear the argument from the social media. The voting rights could be done one third, one third, one third, or maybe for the security of the state, the government could be provide, let's say, 40% of the vote. So 40% of the vote is lying with the government. People will vote individually. The oversight committee will vote individually. The Supreme Court will be the fourth party. They will also work. So two from the side of government and two from the side of individual. So they can regulate and they can pass the decision. And I don't think that in the today's time it is hardly difficult to basically find solution to any problem. The committee can meet anytime. Okay, so for example, from government we can have the secretary. From Supreme Court we can have the CGI or any judge that he appoint. From the company that is currently dispute, we can have the CEO of the, not the CEO, but let's say the chief compliance officer of the company. From the people, there may be certain community if they want to represent themselves. If they do not want to represent themselves, there may be certain individual, because there may be certain, for example, when you make movies and you give expression to something, there may be certain individuals or certain communities who will be aggrieved. It may be so that certain communities are being shown always in the bad light. They can file a case. So all these parties can hear with one another the concerns that they have, and they can vote that whether this content needed to be removed or whether it not needed to be removed. Now, so the other question will be that whether the freedom of expression is curbed by the government of India directly or indirectly. So in the case of digital media, I don't think the freedom of the press needed to be curbed anytime soon. Even if it is curbed, the Supreme Court is always there, because it is Article 19 inscribed in the Constitution. I still do not understand why such hue and cry is always from the left. Whenever there is something regulation that is being provided, they will always quote Article 19(1) of the Constitution, and they say this is the violation of the Article 19(1) of the Constitution. Please do understand, sir, if it is a violation, it will definitely be struck down by the Supreme Court of India. You always make this particular point that it is violation. If it is a violation, it will be struck down by the Supreme Court of India. So wait for some time. These parties are heavy and have financial background enough that they can fight for their own, and they can pave the way of the freedom of expression. So I hope this is clear. These are some of the issues that are related to the digital media and the other media that we are talking about. And please understand, there is going to be a mains question on this. And I am assuring you, mains question will be coming in any of the examination on this particular part. Regulations of digital media or the problems coming up front with respect to the control of digital media. The next one is the spurring a reawakening with National Science Day. So I think everything has been talked about the National Science Day, so I will not be going into detail. Just remember, he says that there are common highlights that are needed to be done. For example, teaching in the mother tongue for initial years, National Search Foundation that will fund the research not in the government organization but also in the private organization. The policy research will be continued in India. The excellence framework for the higher education institution, in which as the excellence will increase, so the autonomy of the institution will increase. The forward-looking visionary and the practical things that are needed for the working of the science prospects will also needed to be followed. And he was commenting on the background of National Education Policy and the National Science Innovation and Technology Policy. Okay, I'm not going into the detail. Okay, so Big Brother is watching you. Big Brother is basically a connotation that is currently used against whom? Against the government. So two articles you can say, the big government and the big tech. So the first allegation on the government is that government in the name of the big tech have tried to control or enforce more government into the public. The wolf in the watchdog is similar thing, that it is a wolf who is basically served to the people as a watchdog. Okay, we generally say ki wolf in the sheep. He was a sheep in the, sorry, he was a wolf. No, he was a sheep in the skin of the wolf. So this is the common thing. They have slightly twisted it. A wolf in the watchdog clothing. So all three articles are related to the online regulation that the government of India have passed for digital media and for OTT platforms. The next one is back to parliament in Nepal. So I think everything you have heard of Nepal, the new constitution is trampled upon, the political ambition of the key players are being debated, what they will do, what they will not do, who will form the government, how they will form the government, what was the constitutional right of the president, what was the constitutional right of the prime minister, whether the parliament should stay intact, whether the Supreme Court will be staying intact. These are some of the things that are currently debated, and it have surfaced to the forefront the major drawback in the constitution of Nepal, in which there is no alternative government and snap elections could be announced. So इसको पढ़ लीजिएगा, important नहीं है. Okay, next one is the murder and the business as usual. So this is related to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, we have already talked about, and also raised about the issues that are related to the importance of Saudi Arabia in the eyes of America for maintaining a peaceful Central Asian region. So I will not also be going into that. You read this article on your own. There is nothing in it. It is only explaining that all the hue and cry that was made in the Mr. Biden time was basically not going to be complemented by the long-term policy of America. So human rights are a separate issue, the party have said, but being the president of India is a separate issue in which you will have to go for the policy interests that you are having with the countries and having with the different associations. So I hope this is clear. Further moving on, CSR lab helped develop key molecule for Covaxin. So CSR IICT director have completed the chemical process in just 4 months. That has been formulated with Algel IMDC, and they contain a particular chemical absorbed called as TLR78. Okay, so what happened? This chemical basically helped the vaccine absorb in the human body. So that's why he have been critical in the role of CSIR. अच्छा, ये news important क्यों है? Because National Science Day has been recently celebrated on 28th of February. 28th of February is also the birthday of C.V. Raman. Okay, further moving on, PM calls for water conservation drive. So a new program has been started, 100 day for catching the rain. Why 100 days? Because that is how long the monsoon lasts in India. Chaliye, further moving on, the cleaning water resources and maintaining upgrading water resources are the things that they have talked about. They have also talked about that the labs that are currently working in India, they should be helping the land, provide good things and opportunity for the people. The Atmanirbhar Bharat is focusing on the self-reliance, closely associated with the Swadeshi movement that we have already talked about. So there are bigger things that are needed to be taken care of, and these bigger things needed to be provided with the farmers an opportunity to get out of the poverty and also helping them in conserving the water resources of the country. The next one is the need to reset India-China trade ties. Harshvardhan Shringla have said, he is the foreign secretary. I hope you remember all the trade with China. We have a bilateral trade of approximately 78 billion, which is highly tilted in China's favor. We are currently accruing a deficit of approximately 45 billion. We need diversified and resilient chain. The Indo-Pacific chain is still debated, and India will be the global partner of all the countries, and we are also diversifying because we have huge deficit with China in the form of trade. We want to reduce that particular deficit. Please understand our biggest partner is United States of America. The next one is the Surya Kiran Sarang team to dazzle Colombo skies. So this is, please understand, Surya Kiran is the exercise that we had with Nepal, but this is Surya Kiran Sarang team of Indian Air Force. So 70th anniversary of the Sri Lankan Air Force, there will be teams of India that will be helping the Sri Lankan authorities in gaining all the things that were there. The next one is the selling reputation a ground for divorce. This is set by Supreme Court and it will be termed as mental cruelty. So if you have destroyed reputation of your spouse, that can also be a new ground for seeking a divorce from the individual. So if you have destroyed the reputation of a particular man or particular woman, due to any allegations that are currently imposed on you or you have imposed on them. In this particular case, the men have accused the woman that she have destroyed my reputation by creating unnecessary drama, or maybe she was involved in some form of adultery or something like that. There were different cross charges, but I will not go into that. So Supreme Court have said that it depends on the individual that whether he have or his reputation, career, or any form is being destroyed by any other person. If you are in a married relationship, if men have destroyed a woman reputation or women have destroyed a man reputation in any other sense, the Supreme Court have said could be a fair ground for the divorce, depending on the merits of the case. So I hope this is clear. So divorce can also be sought on that particular partner. And one thing I do not want to comment here, because most of the time the feminists will actually come in here. If you talk about the helpline that the government have started with respect to the mental stress over the years, the more mental stress the calls were received from males. Approximately 70% were the males out of the total 100% calls. And they are subjected to mental stress at home in the married life, which was the most usual cause. As Supreme Court have provided a window, I think it is, or the world is now moving toward the recognition of the mental stress that the men are currently suffering from the relationship point of view, from the career point of view. And I think this is still a taboo discussion that we still do not have. Most of the time we are talking about the patriarchal issues and all other issues. I think it is high time now that we should also talk about the mental stress that the men are subjected to, because the data that is coming is not very good, and the data is always ascertaining that the men are more likely to commit suicide, although they do not commit suicide, because women generally in the flow of emotions do something unnecessary step, but men are under more severe mental stress, although the translation into suicide is less. So these are some of the things that should be debated now. So Supreme Court have paved the way here that a man reputation, if it is being damaged by a woman, it is enough ground for divorce, depending on the situation. And not in every case they will give, but depending on the situation they will talk about. The next one is the Swiss neutrality in the world affairs attractive again. This is said by Envoy, and it has become a designation for dialogue now. As Swiss government have said that it is earlier was a bipolar world, now it is a multipolar world, so neutrality is maintained in the multipolar world, and Switzerland is one of the countries that is basically providing neutrality to whole of the world. So I hope this is clear. Further moving on, the next news is related to China Parliament to move expanded border drone use. So National Parliament of China, there was a legislator over there who have said that a drone vigilance could be conducted on the border along the LAC. And although this is a ceremonial legislature because everything is taken by the Communist Party of China, they decide what to do, what not to do. But even though such things create a type of aura in a particular country in which whole of the Chinese people were basically given an impression in the Chinese mainland that it were the Indians who have made the incursion across the Chinese territory, that was already them. And there was serious bashing of Indian embassy in China, a particular platform that is currently popular in China called as Weibo or something like that. So various accusations and lewd comments were basically issued against Indian embassy, and the timing of the propaganda that the Chinese government have run is also very carefully planned. So these things all countries do. So not going into the detail. Okay, so I think that is it for today.